Loser! 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 The only winner in the room is right here. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, these were a little wimpy. I was not impressed with these.
That was an impressive shot.
Kind of like my playing against Adam.
Yeah, that was a huge victory for me.
I digress.
Before we look at the scores, though, let me pull this out of my seat here. I'm sorry for. It's Mr. Stanky. Here we go. If you don't mind,
Fair
you're
enough.
gonna have to wear that.
I'll take it.
But let's take a look. Yeah. That, by the way, rank and file
That
defeats
is beautiful.
Taylor B.
Do you guys
Dominating
think I should do
fashion.
my news updates like this?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they'll mind. I think they'll be very.
fashion
I think they'll be.
statement.
I think they'll be very cool with it.
I think
John
I would
Marvel
be a
in the
trendsetter.
newsroom.
People would follow.
Todd Sperry is going to be in favor of that. Yes, let's look at the scoreboard
Team
here.
Poophead.
Fantasy League One. As you see, the Oracle. Candace Patton, she goes to 2-0 with a win over Kane Brown. Desi, got crushed by Charles Melton. Team AEW with another close, heartbreaking loss. Then, of course, you see the rank and file, the commissioner leveling up at 1-1. Ricky Hollywood falls to the fantasy footballers, and in a pillow fight of our supposed experts, MG Unit moves on. What is he? I don't even know what his record is. But there we go.
1-1.
There it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, he's 2-0.
2-0, my
as a
bad.
matter
He's
of fact.
2-0, my bad.
2-0, Hollywood Inc. 1-1. The rank and file 1-1. Taylor B. The B team, you guys have combined for 0 wins, and of course you see Candace
This is a
leading
sad
the way.
high five.
FaZe Clan.
It's really
FaZe
bad.
Clan is sneakily motoring along, being undefeated. Charles Melton has a pretty good team. What about the big news of the week? Ben Roethlisberger is out for the rest of the season. Drew Brees is expected to miss at least 6 weeks.
And
So what are we doing at the
and then we
quarterback?
just got some more news today.
What is that?
Cam
Break-
Newton, ankle injury that he re-injured
His
in
foot sprain?
practice. So
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't practice on Tuesday.
Daniel Jones has been named the starting quarterback for the Giants.
And you're
Eli
forgetting
Manning?
the most important one, too. Trevor Simeon's out for the
Oh
year.
my gosh. Well, now the season's just ruined.
God.
You're like, oh, now it's over. Now the
Yep.
Jets fans are like, that's
thought
too-
it was bad, now
that's
it's
too
horrific.
far. That's too far. The season is completely
They
finished.
lost
now that Trevor
Darnold to
Simeon-
mono, and now they've lost Trevor Simeon.
Well, let's talk about quarterbacks that we're going to be picking up. Now, you mentioned Daniel Jones because Eli Manning, the greatest quarterback in San Diego Chargers history, is no longer going to be starting for that team. Who are we picking up, though, if you've lost your starting quarterback? Graham, let's start with you.
Yeah, sure. Josh Allen is a QB1 that no one wants to grant as a QB1. It's weird. In his
Right.
last 8 games, he's finished as a top 13 fantasy quarterback 7 times. And, I mean, Adam and I have both been talking about this. His rushing floor gives him a fantastic weekly projection. And, I mean, it's time we started treating Allen as the top 15 fantasy quarterback every single week that he is.
I'm going to piggyback off you, too, with Josh Allen. I mean,
Thank
he can
you.
run,
Are you literally
he can
gonna
throw.
piggyback off me?
Absolutely.
Hold it. Hold it.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah, Josh Allen, run, throw. You know, he's a big dude.
He is
And
a big dude.
that gets fantasy points.
Yep, and they play the Cincinnati Bengals this week.
BMI equates to fantasy.
It
points.
My
does.
favorite Josh Allen quote was after the game last week when he got up on the podium and they asked him about other teams in New York, and he said, "We're the only team in
We're
New
the
York."
only
I
team
know.
in New York.
Oh.
I love that answer.
Right.
He's
I mean, if that doesn't endear you to every Bills fan, I don't know what
or
does.
anybody in the tri-state area who can read a map and be like, yeah, those guys are in New Jersey. We're actually in the state of New York. But what about Mitch Trubisky? You talked about it in your cold open. Sorry to pull back the curtain. That's called the cold open when we do that thing. You were.
I
Listen,
mean, like, I just
love-
feel funny.
I
feel
love the
funny
Bears.
making my point with this hat on.
Yes, well, at least you're being covered by B-roll now. But what is it about
you.
Mitch Trubisky that is leading you to believe that this is actually a very good option? I want to believe. I don't know that I can believe.
I feel like the first 2 games were very close. I don't think they were indicative of what he could do. I think we saw last year when he came on a lot stronger in the second half of the season. I think that their schedule is going to be getting easier. I feel like they're finally getting their groove. He hasn't even really been hitting most of his targets, including Allen Robinson, who's on my fantasy team.
Of course.
Thank you very little for that, by the way. Tariq Cohen, who's obviously a dual threat back, I think that they're going to be targeting him a bunch more. And so I just feel like he hasn't really hit his stride yet, and they haven't gotten in their rhythm. But once they do, we've seen what he's capable of. And so I think that we're just waiting for Trubisky to be unleashed.
And the Bears struggled in their offense in the beginning of last season as well, right?
Right, yeah.
And then it'll start off, I think, on Monday Night Football when they play the Redskins, who have allowed 287 yards per game
Yeah.
through the air, he's going to have a much easier defense to go against to kind of try out different targets, try out different plays.
I
think
want
he's
to
gonna be
agree with
golden.
all that, but I have to recuse myself because I know that I'm a little bit biased.
Oh,
in
this
that.
is, he just wants me to make my point because it's music to Adam's ears. This is just,
That's exactly what we're doing here.
he
Yes, I
enjoys,
want
he's
you-
probably going to
yes.
ask me the same question
This
10
is it.
times.
You
so
thought
can
that
hear
coming out-
how amazing the Browns are. I mean, the Bears are.
That's exactly.
Oh.
It helps. I mean, it's not going to help you because
Freudian
you're
slip.
0-2, but whatever. Here's my thing, though. Daniel Jones is going to be starting for the Giants. I'm very excited about this prospect. I think that when you saw him in the preseason,
He looked
he
awesome.
looked great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot
He
of
was the story of the preseason.
yeah, absolutely. I think the Giants are doing absolutely the right thing.
Danny
They-
Dimes, man. There's one of those dimes.
I mean, that's such a great ball.
Yeah.
I think that if Shermer had had his way and he wasn't getting any pushback from the front office, is what I'm assuming, is that they would have gone with Daniel Jones right from the top because you know that they're not challenging for the NFC.
Pat
East.
Shermer wanted to bench Eli Manning last year. I mean, you could tell in his press conferences that he wanted to move on from Eli, and they just didn't do it. Now he's got his chance.
Speaking of not knowing sports, Graham, let's get some of your top trade targets coming in this week. Yeah.
Well done.
If you're 0-2 and you're looking to make a
Yes.
trade, who are you checking out?
Ted Williams.
Definitely
Not Ted
not.
Williams.
That was extremely well done. Now, Leonard Fournette is a guy I'm trying to trade for in all of my leagues. He's finally involved in the Jags pass game. He's seen at least 6 targets in back-to-back games. And he had previously only seen 6 targets in 1 career game out of 24. Fournette's basically never going to leave the field in this Jags offense. And I realize, the Jags aren't in the red zone very often. They're not scoring very often. But the big Fournette game is coming because the workhorse touches are incredible. He's
But
the
you
new
believe in
Todd
him?
Gurley, basically.
He hasn't asked for a trade yet, has he?
No.
He's not in the NFL transfer
I don't think he's going to get
portal?
traded anytime soon either.
I just want to make sure, everybody's asking for a trade nowadays. Taylor, who are you looking for?
I'm going to go with Julian Edelman. All the talk has been about AB this, AB that. But when you think about it, who is Brady's go-to target? It's Julian Edelman. I don't think that his touches are going to go down. Obviously, in the past 2 games, he hasn't really been utilized that much. I think that's all strategy. I think that once the Patriots start playing some harder teams, Brady isn't going to overlook his go-to target and one of his biggest red zone threats. I think that you could get him at a pretty low value right now just because people aren't really going after him. They're going after the big name of AB, and people are concerned with what does this mean for the Patriots offense. Go after Julian Edelman now. I think it's a great long-term play.
Yeah, anytime somebody's coming off a poor game, that's the best time to strike
Mm-hmm.
while the iron is hot. But you're going to go a different way. Be like, who just had an amazing game? I'm
Right.
trading for him.
I say you go hot. OBJ. I mean, did you see last night's game?
But,
Don't call
but
me out
that's
for
what I'm
that.
saying.
I
How would
was
you be able to
forced
get
to
him at a
watch it.
low value right now? After that one-handed grab, after that big touchdown, I feel like he'd
I
be
think you might have to
expensive.
trade high. You might
Yeah.
have to. But I think it's worth it. I
Okay.
think that the Browns have all the juice that they need right now. They're going to go against the Rams next, which is going to be tough. But like Adam said yesterday, I feel like the Browns might be able to pull that off. Sean McVay is obviously a genius playmaker, but with the Browns and you have all these different targets, I don't know. I feel like OBJ is going to be a big, big difference maker.
He already is. I mean, they're
Yeah.
scheming plays to get him the rock. I mean, they tried to get him the ball so much in week 1. And then here you see this play. Greg Williams basically decided he didn't want to cover Odell Beckham.
What was he doing? Greg Williams is supposedly this defensive genius, and he's like, yeah, don't worry about number 13. He's fine.
Did you
No
see him on the
We'll
defensive-
put a
sidelines?
linebacker out there.
No defensive genius lines up a free safety 20-plus yards off the line of scrimmage.
Put your entire team in front of that guy. You've seen how much especially with the Browns' offensive line.
Yeah.
Like they have to get rid of the ball quickly.
Yes.
Why are your guys not closer to the line? How do I know this? Like I know this from playing Madden. Greg Williams, the supposed genius, can't figure this out. But a genius move would be to get Rashad Penny on your fantasy team because it is only a matter of time before he becomes the #1 running back for the Seattle Seahawks. First of all, Chris Carson is putting
Spice.
Chris Carson is putting the ball on the ground, and that is the one thing that is going to get you sent to the bench. If you can't hold on to the football and if you can't pass protect, those are the 2 things that you need to watch. There was also there was a play on Thursday night where Peyton Barber just laid down in the middle of pass pro. That's the kind of stuff that gets you sent to the bench. So if you're looking at guys like Rashad Penny, guys like Ronald Jones, who could end up becoming
I do
number
like
one
the
running
Rashad
backs.
Penny buy low because if Chris Carson were to get hurt, I mean, Penny would immediately be an RB1.
I
He's
feel like I'm on the
awesome.
bench right now.
Since Rashad Penny started super slow to start his rookie year, he's been really good.
What's not so cool is some people who have snuck into our top scoring leaders for 2019. Let's take a look At the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, we loved him. Dak Prescott, Ricky Hollywood drafted him.
Oh, yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, you would expect. Tom Brady, and then, there's some other big names. Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, Carson Wentz, Russell Wilson, Andy Dalton. And, at some point I'm going to have to yell at somebody because they mistakenly put that one name in there because that can't be right. Let's look at the running backs. Austin Eckler, Dalvin Cook, CMC, even though he scored 6 points last week, is amongst the leaders. Derrick Henry, Le'Veon Bell, and of course Saquon Barkley, the first overall selection by Candace Patton, Josh Jacobs, David Johnson, Chris Carson, even though I was just advocating everybody get Rashad Penny. Here are the wide receivers. Sammy Watkins still number one, followed by my guy, John Ross. Manny Sanders coming off an Achilles injury. Hollywood Brown, Keenan Allen, DJ Chark, T.Y. Hilton, Julio, OBJ, Mike Thomas. Your consensus top 3 or 4, I would say, when you were doing your fantasy drafts. But right now, it's time for who let this guy in? Because you saw there for the quarterbacks, Case Keenum. Why is Case Keenum a member of this list? We talked about players you could pick up and stream, and nobody mentioned Case Keenum. We went deep. We're like, you could pick up this guy, this guy. What about Case Keenum? Yeah, sure, but there's also this guy, that guy. What do we make of this?
Garbage time fantasy points matter, Adam. The Redskins.
It was the first half against the Eagles.
Sure, he did light the Eagles on fire in that first half, but the Redskins have been trailing. They've been throwing a ton, and Keenum's just had to throw a bunch. Yeah.
Maybe you can use them.
Not against the Bears this week.
No, you might want to hold off. Hey,
not against the Bears.
Hey, fantasy footballers, want to pick him up? Let him be your quarterback, smart guys. Sitting there running around with Cam Newton thinking you're all hard. What about Austin Eckler, though? Kind of a shocker?
I mean, no, I called it last week.
You did call it.
I did in my hot take. I think especially with all the Chargers injuries that are happening right now, I mean, who else?
And I also just think that Melvin Gordon not playing, and I think that that's why they really weren't going to pay Melvin Gordon the money that he wanted. It's not because of his lack of talent. He is just as talented, but they're in an offense that doesn't need the running back that much. They've got so much other talent in that offense that it's allowing them to take some pressure off the running back, which is why somebody like Austin Eckler, not saying he's not extremely skilled and talented, but why somebody like Austin Eckler can immediately jump in and fill that role. So
did Melvin Gordon kind of play himself?
Absolutely.
Like everybody's like, hey man,
absolutely.
Like he announced, he put out there, it's like somebody sent out an Evite and he hits maybe because he's hoping that everybody's gonna beg him, like, dude, you got to be here.
But that's the thing is,
and then all of a sudden they were like, okay, cool, man, we're good.
Best party ever.
We got it.
I do think that Melvin Gordon does deserve that money. He's just unfortunately in an offense where they don't need him as much. Right? They can fill that. It's kind of like one of those Bill Belichick system offenses where you can just kind of plug and fill. So they are able to plug and fill Austin Eckler in Melvin Gordon's role. Whereas if he was in another offense that desperately needed a power horse running back that's a 3-down back that's getting
like the Bucks or something like that.
Exactly.
Then he would be in that
then
situation.
Then he would be in that position to make that money.
There's a wide receiver who snuck into that list, DJ Chark. That's right. That was no mistake. DJ Chark is one of our top 10. One of our top 10 fantasy wide. Exactly. Is Gardner Minshew? Is this his guy?
Oh my gosh.
Is he making DJ Chark? Because he's talented.
Yeah.
LSU guy. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen this before.
No, DJ Chark was kind of slept on coming out this season. Basically, was a full-time player during the preseason. But I have to think, Adam, that Jags are just spreading the ball around. This might just be a little bit of small sample randomness. D.D. Westbrook wasn't super involved against the Texans. Chark is very talented, and it's great to see him balling out after he basically didn't do anything his rookie season, but kind of think it's a little bit of randomness.
Does Gardner Minshew hate D.D. Westbrook? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You guys,
did I hear that right?
I heard it.
If Adam loses, can we please make him wear the outfit that Gardner Minshew wore coming off the
There's a lot of show coming on. This was NFL
coming off the plane last
Fantasy
week.
League One presented by Jeep Gladiator. And now it's time for more Club Dub!
Oh my God, no.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah!
Wait, Adam, you have to wear Gardner
Loser!